Hey, how's it going? Chris Winger here. There's a chill in the air, cold wind in the trees. October is here. You can finally start decorating your yard without your neighbors looking at you funny.
I haven't got a pumpkin yet because I don't want it to be all mushy and moldy once the 31st rolls around, but I am trying my best to get into the spirit of Halloween. October is too short. All those beautiful leaves won't be around for too long, so you gotta make the most of it while it's here. Reading ghost stories is a good way to get ready for Halloween, so I bought this book. The only problem is I have to finish the book that I'm reading before I can start reading that one. But that's a trick I use sometimes since I'm a pretty slow reader. If I want to finish a book a little bit faster, I'll just buy a book that I really want to read. I know you shouldn't rush a good book, but sometimes I need some motivation. Are those my socks? Are these my socks that I'm wearing? I didn't read much except for ghost stories when I was a kid. They scared the crap out of me, but I still love them. There's something comforting about a good short ghost story to chill your bones. How about I read one for you now? Don't worry, I'm not gonna bore you with a long one. I picked something real short and sweet. The Girl Who Stood on a Grave. Some boys and girls were at a party one night. There was a graveyard down the street. They were talking about how scary it was. Don't ever stand on a grave after dark, one of the boys said. The person inside will grab you. He'll pull you under. That's not true, one of the girls said. Just a superstition. I'll give you $1 if you stand on a grave, said the boy. A grave doesn't scare me, said the girl. I'll do it right now. The boy handed her his knife. Stick this knife in one of the graves, he said. Then we'll know you were there. The graveyard was filled with shadows and was as quiet as death. There's nothing to be scared of, the girl told herself. But she was scared anyway. She picked out a grave and stood on it. Then quickly, she bent over and plunged the knife into the soil, and she started to leave. But she couldn't get away. Something was holding her back. She tried a second time to leave, but she couldn't move. She was filled with terror. Something's got me, she screamed, and she fell to the ground. When she didn't come back, the others went to look for her. They found her body sprawled across the grave. Without realizing it, she had plunged the knife through her skirt and had pinned it to the ground. It was only the knife that held her. She had died of fright. Remember these books? Yeah. They re-released them with the original art by Stephen Gammell. Isn't that great? Whenever I look at these illustrations and I read these old folk tales, I feel like I'm back in that world we used to live in when we were kids. You remember that world where campfire tales were true? Did you ever hear that story, Humans Can Lick Too? That's a nasty one. My friend told me about it when I was a kid, and I used to think it was a true story. I kind of miss believing in stuff like that. I think Halloween is a good time to believe in that stuff again, or to pretend that it's real. Just turn out the lights and light some candles and pretend that that killer with a hook for a hand is out there somewhere looking for unsuspecting couples.
Bum 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 bum. Fångar en dålig romans.
Winger? Hello?
If you, like me, still have a few chapters left in that Dean Koontz book you're reading, why not watch a ghost movie? That's a good thing about movies. You can finish them in one evening.
The Others with Nicole Kidman is an excellent ghost movie. Look at this old man raking leaves. If that doesn't get you in the mood, I don't know what will. This movie really looks and feels like a classic ghost story. It's not that old, it's from 2005, but it's got none of those annoying tropes of modern horror. Everything from the way it's shot to how it's scored feels classic and timeless. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it, but make sure to go in blind. Don't look anything up, just watch it. I think it's good to watch ghost movies in October because, after all, Halloween is supposed to be the time when the dead can cross over into the world of the living. Who do you wish would cross over to pay you a visit this Halloween? Here's my list. Nisse. He didn't have much to say, but he was a really nice kitty. Bosse. One time he'd come meet me on my way home from school, and he actually said, "Hello." You know how it sounds like cats say hello sometimes? Well, that was really cute. Darcy. People sometimes mistook her for a kitten because she was so small. She had the tiniest little paws. Abrontius. He wasn't the smartest cat I've ever met. He once lit his own tail on fire, but he was a really, really nice kitty, and I miss him. Did you put up any decorations yet? I did. I bought some fake pumpkins, and I got some new plaid curtains for the kitchen. I can never have too much plaid. Actually, I made a rule not to wear plaid hats of any kind. If I don't set some boundaries, things will get out of hand. I also hung this picture of a woman with some cows on my bedroom wall. That's kind of unrelated, but it's pretty nice, isn't it?
I don't usually buy like funny decorations, like skeletons doing yoga and stuff like that, because I like to keep it somewhat tasteful. But I got this goofy looking little pumpkin. It reminds me of something I'd see in a claymation movie or something as a kid. So something about it made me a little bit nostalgic, and it's quite well made too. Actually, I like it. It's nice. Oh, and I have to show you guys something else that I got. Come. The other week, I went to an art event in a town not too far from here, and I went into the bookstore, because usually the bookstore will have some little exhibition too. But I didn't see any art. All I saw was authors signing books and selling books. So I thought I better get out of here before I end up buying a book that I'm never going to read.
'Cause last year I went and I ended up buying a book with poetry by some old lady, which is nice, but I still haven't read it. But just as I was about to leave, this guy named Ludwig came up and he stopped me and he said, "Chris Winger," and he recognized me from my videos, and I was so happy that he recognized me and that he'd come up and talk to me. So I asked, "Are you showing any of your stuff here tonight? Are you selling anything?" And he said, "Yeah, come in, I'll show you." And I missed him. He was right by the exit, but I didn't see him when I was in the bookstore. But he made these amazing little wooden sculptures. I mean, look at this. Isn't this great? It looks like some old ancient wizard or druid or something. And it's really nice. If you look at the little details, see, he put these little nails for eyes. They're all the way in there. And it really makes it look alive. Especially when you put it in front of a flickering flame and the eyes light up and it really comes alive. It's a beautiful piece of art. I love it. Good job. Really good job, Ludwig. And thank you. I love it. It lives here on my mantelpiece like a little guardian spirit that watches over my house. I love it.
Fall is probably the prettiest time of the year, at least if you ask me. So, while you're getting ready for Halloween this October, make sure to go for a nice fall walk. A little hike to take in all those beautiful colors. I'm pretty sure seeing all those colors is good for you. Just spend some time out here and let the trees nurse your mind back to health. Look at all those trees. You can learn a lot from trees. Seeing them all together like this is a good reminder that life isn't a competition. There's no number one tree in these woods. They all fit right in there and they all get along. Sure, if you cut some of them down, the trees that are left will grow taller and thicker, but it's probably all the same to them. The maples really steal the show this time of the year, but the pine trees sure look beautiful surrounded by all that color. They look like great red pillars with fluffy little green clouds floating around the top. Now, I know what you're thinking. Chris, enough with the trees. It's almost Halloween. Okay. Let me tell you about something strange that's been going on over at my house the past few weeks. A few weeks ago, I started hearing this strange sound coming from somewhere in my house. I heard it late one evening when I was sitting by my desk, so I got up and tried to figure out where the sound was coming from. And at first, I thought it came from the basement. But the closer I got to the door that leads to the basement, the fainter the sound grew. And when I opened the door to the basement, it died out completely. So I closed it again and took a few steps away from the door, and there it was again. The thing I couldn't wrap my head around was that no matter where in the house I went, the sound seemed to come from the basement. But the further I got from the basement, the louder it became. You're probably wondering what it sounded like. My friend asked me the same thing when I told him about it, but I couldn't really tell him. Well, I could, and I did. And I could tell you too, but I'm afraid it wouldn't make much sense. You see, it didn't sound like a sound. It sounded like a shape. It sounded like a face. That's the only way I can explain it. If sounds are vibrations in the air picked up by our eardrums, this was, well, something else traveling through the air. Or perhaps a vibration
traveling through some part of our world that we can't comprehend. So, what did the face look like, you might ask? Well, I couldn't really tell you that either, because I've never seen it, I've only heard it. You'd understand if you heard it too. What I can tell you about it is that there's nothing behind the face. No skull, no cheekbones or jawbone, no teeth, no eyes. When I told my friend about this, he said that perhaps there's a room in my basement that's shaped in a way so that the acoustics of the room create a low frequency vibration. He said that these kinds of low frequency sound waves could cause people to experience the kind of phenomenon that are typically associated with hauntings. And maybe he's right. Maybe that's all it is. But I can't help but to think about something that a friend of the family told me when I was a little kid. I remember that we were having a discussion about ghosts, and he seemed pretty skeptical about most of the things we said, but he said something that always stuck with me. He said that whether or not there is such a thing as ghosts, there is something. Something that we can't see, hear, touch, or smell because our senses won't allow us to. Our brains just weren't designed that way. But sometimes we catch a glimpse. For some reason, this is easier for some people than for others. Most of the time, when our brain tries to make sense of it, we'll interpret it as something mundane, nothing out of the ordinary. Sometimes it'll be one of those things you just can't explain, an anomaly. Other times we'll think we've seen a ghost, because at least ghosts make some kind of sense to us. Now, of course, the things he told me that time might just have been his personal beliefs. I mean, how could he know such things? But if he was right, if there is something else that we can't see, if quote-unquote they exist, why do they sometimes reach out like this? And if they could talk to us, what would they say? And would we even begin to understand it? And why is there a face in my basement? Well, that's it for today. I hope you're having a nice October, and I hope I'll see you around for the final Halloween video. I'm not sure what I should do yet. What do you guys think I should do? Should I go to a haunted house, or do you want me to sing? I could sing for you. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Well, maybe it's a bit early for that one, but yeah, I'll do whatever you guys want me to do. I'll go to space. I'll dig a hole to China. Okay, maybe something realistic, but yeah, if you have any good ideas, tell me. Maybe you want me to read more ghost stories? I don't know. Maybe you just want a video of me petting my dog? Maybe Doobity-doobity-doobity-doo. Her var det gran, finaste i stan till doppar och dan. Ensam och står, sista som går, 100 hugger jag i år. Pengar blir det, nu ska vi se, och 99 gav vi 303 kronor i år. Sista som går, hädra kallt och ben och lår. Min lilla fru, du är så söt. Nu är det jul, du kokar gröt. Du höll på knallen med glada trallen när alla trodde han var ett nöt. Min lilla fru, vi kommer snart.
nu kör vi hem, jag vill ha mat. Här har du grana om du vill hana, och det är 300 kronor som jag spar.